Outdoorsmen like myself often get a really bad reputation, whether it's hunting or fishing. There's a lot of people that don't like it. When I make my harvest, I want it to be clean and ethical. And I want to try to use as much of the animals as I can. That being said, right now the walleye run on the Detroit River is on fire. So I got some fish scraps, and they're one of my favorite soil amendments. This year I am going to try out some new stuff. I have some carcasses here for the chickens. The chickens did not know what to think of the fish at first, but then they started really tearing at it, and then they kind of just got bored of it and they're not eating anymore. They're still nibbling at it a little bit, but they're more focused on the worms that are crawling through the compost in the chicken composting system. So we will go ahead and recover these scraps and use them elsewhere. We're going to start out with the most low-tech method to do this, and probably the best way, in my opinion, to utilize these fish carcasses. I'm just going to take a shovel, dig down as deep as I can go with it. I'm going to gently move my soil to the side. I'm going to go ahead and grab my fish carcass, put her down in the hole, and cover it back up. And I like to just gently pat it down so we don't have too much air going down in here, or in this case, air coming out, attracting scavengers that want to come dig this up. I've done this in years past, and I've never had any dug up in my garden, and I know raccoons are in here all the time, because when I throw a rotten egg in here, it disappears overnight. Now, the burying method is exceptionally effective if you know exactly where you're going to plant something. It works really good for plants that love nitrogen, like your tomatoes and your peppers. So seeing it is mid-April, and I won't be planting those till first week in June or so, these carcasses will be gone at that time. The cool thing is when you dig this up to plant your plants in that spot, it's just beautiful black soil left over. There's no signs of the fish whatsoever. If you want to talk permaculture and stacking functions, fish are a great example, because I go out, I have a good time catching the fish. Walleyes and a lot of the other fish I get out of Lake St. Clair are delicious. And when I do something with the carcass, I am wasting no part of the fish. Not just not wasting it, we're actually turning this fish into something that's going to help us grow more food. So we're getting more out than we're putting in. And the money I spend on my fishing license and boat stickers, all that goes back to conservation. So it's people like me that get a bad rap that are actually doing the most to help conservation. It was a slow day, so we only got 9 fish today. I'm looking for spots in my garden that I think just need a little extra boost of fertility. So I've gone through here, I've dug some spots, put some fish in the ground. I'm gonna save this last fish and some of these rib scraps I got and do something else with it. I got a bucket that doesn't leak. I'm gonna go ahead and move my fish scraps over to this bucket that doesn't leak. Then I have this pile of nasty rhizome spreading weeds and grasses that I definitely don't want to put in the compost because they'll just grow. I'm gonna go ahead and move these guys in here. Stacking functions. Got the tarp on my little boat here, and it collects rainwater pretty good. I'm just gonna go ahead, take this rainwater and just pour it in the bucket. And I'm gonna fill this bucket almost to the top. Got some mosquito larvae in here. They're gonna help this as well. They'll break down. Here's what we got going on here. Just gonna give her a little stir to get her going. That's looking delicious. There are multiple possibilities with this. I have a lid with some holes on it. I'm gonna go ahead and pop her on there because animals are gonna wanna get in here. And I'm gonna leave this bucket sit over here by the pawpaw trees away from everything because this is going to smell really bad. If you have weeds with seeds or rhizome roots, this is a good way to compost them or at least get them started. See, when they sit in here for about a month or so, they just turn into a soupy mess and they are dead. This liquid in here, when it is done in about a month, you'll be able to take this liquid, strain it out. Some plants can just take it straight up. We'll dilute it for other plants. It's gonna be really good fertilizer. Strain it, you can add more water and just keep going with it until the plants are completely dissolved. Or you can take those plants out that are a soupy mess and put them in your normal compost pile and not have to worry about seeds or roots forming. If you're gonna compost weeds, do it with water or fire. I'm gonna do is a little different. I'm going to make this liquid here. I'm going to charge some of my biochar with this. So when I go to plant my hungry plants like tomatoes and peppers, I'm going to be able to add biochar to the planting hole, and it's going to be full of all the good stuff that are in these fish guts and weeds. Once the biochar is charged, I'll be left over with liquid fertilizer for my plants and some biomass to add to the compost pile. Or I can even dry it out and use it as mulch at that point. I want to add a lot more fish to the garden, so hopefully we get some good days on the Detroit River where we can get some limits. We have plenty of walleyes to eat and plenty of scraps for the garden to feed my plants. I catch some good fish, take a trip to Detroit this time of year, go fish the lake and the river, bury those scraps. Thanks for watching.